Alright YouTube, this is Longbeard here. I'm going to be doing another video on progress on the 73 Mustang fastback. The reason I'm doing this video is I'm about to take the car up to Quality Custom Rides in Lancaster, PA. They did a lot of work on the body of the car to get it to this point. They do amazing work. When I originally took the car up to them, I had no idea how bad the rust and everything throughout the entire car was. They went through the trouble of basically replacing almost every single piece of metal on the car. Fenders, upper, lower cowl, the entire floor, roof, rear full quarters, the doors, the whole 9 yards, the roof, everything on the car was really just not usable. Most shops would have probably turned it away because of the amount of work, but I left it with them for maybe 3 months, and they just did a phenomenal job. I brought the car back. Obviously, funds to just keep a car at a custom shop is hard to come by. Plus, I purchased a home, and I was doing a lot of work on the home itself. So I needed to give the car a break for a while. But after I got the house situated, I then went back and started working on the car really nonstop. Whenever I get a chance to work on it. So I'm just going to run through the car and just update you on what's been done, what's going to happen, where I stand with the body work, whole 9 yards. So I guess the first thing is that we'll start with the newest update, and the most amazing part of the car is now I switched over to just being naturally aspirated, and now I'm going to be running twin torque storm superchargers, centrifugal superchargers. So that in itself, fitment wise and just making everything work is a chore in itself. So I needed to put the motor back in, bolt everything up, and just start placing things in the engine bay to make sure everything works. I also am now running a new custom radiator, so I had to make mounts and brackets and everything for that. And the car never had air conditioning before. So I went to restomod air. I didn't want, this is an entire restomod project. I wasn't about to, put like a vintage air system in or something like that to make it look like it came off the factory in 1973. That wasn't my goal, restomod. So I went with them and bought their vents. I bought their Haymaker system. I bought their bulkhead fittings that you could see on the back of the firewall there. But anytime you go with the custom system, of course, everything needs to be changed. So as you could see, I had to completely flatten the firewall to be able to get the evaporator, fan, and everything to work. Right there in the middle is the bulkhead fittings. You could buy all that stuff on their website. They are an amazing company. They are expensive, but it's well worth the money for sure, especially with this kind of a project. I want to be able to get the entire firewall and engine bay painted the same color as the car, so there's going to need to be some more body work, smoothing out everything in the engine bay. I probably, in the engine bay itself, on the side walls and the firewall itself, I probably welded a good, I don't know, maybe 120 holes that are just no longer needed. The goal of the car is to just try to make it as clean as possible, and smooth as possible. So the color combinations that I want to do on the car, on the entire car, is going to be like a really, really dark charcoal, almost black color. And like I said, I'm getting ready to take it up to Quality Custom Rides. They're going to kind of finish up the bodywork, which I had a buddy of mine. He's a been a body man for over 20 years. He's been doing a lot of the mud work, sanding, blocking, the whole 9 yards just to get it to this point. So the color combination of the car is going to be a dark charcoal, almost black. Then I sent all of the components of the car, suspension, whole 9 yards, to get powder coated this dark, it's like a dark cherry illusion is what it's called. So it's going to look awesome with the flat black, gloss black of everything else with the car. So, you know, body wise, the fenders are on both sides of the car are pretty much ready for like final coat of primer and then blocking some more. But mud wise, they are 100% done. Doors are pretty much the same. Tons and tons of work. As you can see, I'm going to be running the Kindig door handles here. They're, you know, like I said, I'm just trying to make everything clean. Quality Custom Rides installed them, but anytime you install and welding on a flat door, it's going to make a little bit of waves no matter what you do. So a lot of body work to be done there. The rear quarters were completely done on the car. They are in really good shape right now. A lot of body work. The only thing that still needs some work is going to be the top, where obviously they cut the lead out, and then they just did a filler piece of metal. So up here still needs some body work to get it smooth. The roof is brand new, so there shouldn't, you know, there's not really any dents or anything like that. It would probably just need some blocking and maybe a skim coat. If you noticed on the side here, I have, you know, drew up like all these lines that you're seeing. I started making side vents, custom side vents for the car. Actually, I have them over here. Let me grab them for a second here and kind of show you what my plan was with these vents. So these are actually the vents here. And what I wanted to do was weld them in here. I basically did the same angle as the back window there, and I think it would look pretty awesome to have some sort of custom vents in the side. It's never been done before, so we'll see. We'll see what Quality Custom Rides says. You know, they're experts at that kind of stuff. We'll see if they could make something happen with it. Quality Custom Rides completely tucked the rear bumper. And like I said, my buddy's been doing body work on the bumper, the rear tail pan, the quarters, the whole 9 yards. I got a brand new trunk that's actually not on the car right now. And the other side of the car basically looks the same exact way as this side. So most of the body work has been done. Fenders, doors, the whole 9 yards. It's ready to go. All right. So underneath the car, the entire underneath of the car has been ground down to bare metal, and all of the welds, basically all of the body work that was done, I ground down all of the welds. I seam sealed everything, and right now it just has a coat of chassis black on the whole bottom of the car. I'm going to be spraying like a Raptor style bed liner underneath the entire car to get that. Basically, I'm done with rust, so I want to make sure that it will be a rust-free car for a very long time. Let's talk about the inside of the car. Go ahead and open, well, I'm going to go ahead and open the door here. The entire inside of the car has also been completely seam sealed. Everything has been sanded down, scuffed to get ready for this lizard skin that I sprayed in. All right, the entire car has the sound deadener, the sound control, lizard skin spray. Then I did about 4 gallons of that on the whole inside of the car, the trunk, the upper panels, everything, even inside the doors, as much as I could get in there, inside the rear quarters, the whole 9 yards, okay? So then after I sprayed the sound deadener, I went ahead and sprayed their ceramic coating heat insulation on the entire inside of the car as well. I focused mainly on the firewall, the transmission hump, the places that get, expel the most heat. That's where I focused a lot of that on, and I sprayed a little over 2 gallons of that on the car. All right, so that's the condition of the car right now. On the trunk, I started making a lip on the trunk that I would like to get fully welded on, but I'm going to take it up to Quality Custom Rides and get them to get that done. Okay, I'll actually show you the rear lip of the car. So there's the trunk there. It's just a small lip that I made up on the car. I got the perfect curvature of the lip. The sides are just going to need some work, and then it's going to need a lot of welding to get it onto the trunk lid itself. The wheels of the car, which I actually took them off the tires. The wheels are, I want to get that polished lip painted the same color as the car, so that's why I pulled the wheels off. I'm fine with the flat black of the middle of the wheels. That can stay. They just need to be cleaned up really bad. All right, so next course of action would be this fiberglass hood. I called probably 10 different fiberglass manufacturers and could not find a fiberglass hood. I really wanted a carbon fiber hood, but that does not exist. So I finally found this fiberglass hood. It might have been the only one left in the States. It was actually a return that someone returned, and that's the only reason why they had it, because they weren't producing anymore because they just don't sell enough. Okay, so I got this used fiberglass hood that was sent back that needed a ton of work, but it was a good start. Unfortunately, I wanted to do some custom things to it, so I put like the GT500 vents in, bought fiberglass ones. I ground the fiberglass down and panel bonded them in, and then did about 3 layers of fiberglass on top of them. Also, the front lip, I had to make a mold of the metal front lip of the hood out of fiberglass, and then I fiberglassed the front lip on. So that also is going to need some body work. Honestly, this hood in general, I could imagine it taking 2 or 3 days of body work alone to get it where it needs to be. The next issue I'm having is with these vents. I really like the original vents because they're the plastic vents themselves attached to the back, and so it's concaved in there. Unfortunately, these, it's hard to tell, is not concaved. They basically just went flat across with the fiberglass. So I cut it out, but if I just put a vent there, or some people would probably put chicken wire or something like that, I don't think it's going to look good. I don't really like it. I don't know if we could panel bond these vents into the hood. How? That's another thing that I'm going to need those guys up at Quality Custom Rides to take care of for me. The other thing is that with running fiberglass hood, and I wanted to get rid of the original hood latch and stuff like that. It just looks ugly on the front of the car. So I bought these hood latches, which are really nice hood latches. It all came with stainless steel hardware, and you hit the button, they flip up, and then they attach to the car from there. I like the way that they look. The only thing is I wanted them flush. So this lip here, I wanted flush with the hood itself. So unfortunately, because of how thick, because this is a Ram Air hood now, which I didn't have before, I don't know if you can really see that. but it has a bottom layer of fiberglass as well as a top layer. Then there's a small gap in between. Well, this small lip here is way too thin to go through both, so it's almost like I would need to separate the two layers somehow, get this piece of ABS plastic in between the two layers, then do all the body work, make it flush, make it seamless, so it looks like it belongs on the car, because right now, in my opinion, it doesn't look like it's supposed to be there. Another thing that I believe that Quality Custom Rides up in Lancaster for the 4th time, I'm sure they could do something. The owner, Mike, is just phenomenal with customizing cars. He's just done so much, and he's done so much for this car already. I can't thank them guys enough. All right, so hood needs a ton of work. The car itself in general, body-wise, doesn't need a ton of work, but there's going to be some other custom things that I want to do. I do not like the front plastic splitter that come on these cars. It just doesn't, it just looks cheap and cheesy to me. So I would like to create something out of metal to make the front end lower to the ground and just a little bit more aggressive. And like I said, I'm going for a full-blown restomod. So I would like it to just flow with the rest of the car. The rear of the car, I also would like it to just be a little bit more aggressive. And on the rear of the car, I was thinking of just doing like a small splitter on the rear. This rear valance has had tons of bodywork already done to it, and now I'm thinking about cutting into it just a tiny bit to make some sort of rear splitter, you know, give it a little bit of a race feel to the car, and I think it'll go really good with like a front, more aggressive, you know, either some sort of air dam or front splitter or something, you know, chin spoiler. Not really sure, but just something. Also, the 73 model cars had the gas tank underneath the car. Well, I'm going with a fuel cell, so I decided to cut the hole out of the floor in the trunk, reinforce it, then build my own fuel cell. All right. Now, these are all the parts. These are all the suspension parts. I built a roll cage for the car. I test fitted everything in the car. So all of these parts were in the car and functional. Brakes, the whole rear end, everything was in the car. And I took everything out, disassembled every single part, and had it powder coated, then reassembled everything. This is the fuel cell I made. I took all these parts to RC Hot Coats. They're down in Towson, Maryland, and they powder coated everything for me. They even put in like logos that I wanted in certain spots. So like the Willwood calipers, they did the Willwood logo. All of the suspension is from Chris Austin Chassis Works, so they put the logo in that. They did the Fuel Safe logo. They just did a couple things here and there for me, but they did a really, really good job. But you can imagine what it takes to get all these parts disassembled, powder coated, taped off, and then, you know, reassembled and ready to go back on the car. So all these parts are ready to go back on the car. I'm going to be running air ride on the car. The air ride is actually right there. There's all the airbags for the front and rear of the car. They're really dirty because I've just been doing nothing but sanding on this car. And of course, I got tons of other parts in boxes. That whole pile right there is the all my custom billet aluminum pieces that I want to send out to get flat black anodized. Maybe do some custom work on some of them. Like I said, I did the Restomod Air, so that's down there. The Torque Storm superchargers. My entire interior came from TMI. I have the seats, I have a one-piece headliner, I have the dash, I have a center console, rear seats. I literally have an entire brand new interior, which is all black. It's black with red stitching, so that should go with the car very, very well. So, I mean, even this cabinet is completely filled with parts. I just got to get the car painted. All the small custom things that I need to get done with the car, that needs to be finished up. Right now, what's awesome about the car is since I did pull all the suspension off, wheels off, it's just on this cart. It's at like a perfect height to do all the body work on, and that's how I'm going to put it on my car trailer and take it up to Quality Custom Rides in this manner. Now, before I take it up there, because they're going to be doing a lot of body and paint work, I got to disassemble all of this. Get the motor out of the car, get the transmission out of the car. The transmission is a TKO 600. That's made it up to this 351 Cleveland. Torque Storm was literally the only people that made a kit for a 351 Cleveland. Parts for these motors are becoming harder and harder to find. The aftermarket scene is not as good as, like, your typical 302 or the new Coyote motors and whatnot. That's the big new thing, is running a Coyote motor in these restomod projects. That's probably the way to go. But this motor was the original one. This was my father's car. He bought it when he was 16, 17 years old. So I wanted to at least keep the original motor for that. Since I'm doing restomod, I'm sure he's rolling over in his grave, because he liked to keep everything original. But I think when this car is finished, I think he would be extremely, extremely proud of what we've accomplished. That's for sure. So that's the car. I hope you guys enjoyed my video, and my next video is going to be when it gets back from Quality Custom Rides and hopefully painted. That'll probably be in the next couple months. Cross our fingers, and we'll go from there.